Well, hello. I don't know why, I just sort of felt like I'd pop online this afternoon and see if anyone popped up in the chat. Just felt like kind of saying hello. And it's been a while, honestly, since I've had a live stream. So, if you've got a question or you just want to say hello, I believe the chat is open. Feel free to avail yourself of it. And I don't know, let's answer some questions. What's going on? What are you singing? What are you working on? I just finished cutting a video on consonants in lyric lines, and I'm quite excited about it. So yeah, what's going on? Tell me a bit about your voice. Tell me what you're singing. Tell me what, assuming you can hear me, that is. I think you can hear me. The chat seems really... Oh, there we are. Hello. Thanks for breaking the ice on the chat. I really appreciate that. Yeah, just wanting to say hello and maybe answer some singing related questions. I used to do this like, hello, Jared. Hello. Forgive me, Kiriel? Hi, your work is really good, thanks. I hear you well. Excellent, thank you for letting me know about that. I'm always like a little uncertain about the audio if I can't like monitor in real time this way. Hello, Kalina. Good morning from Illinois, Scott's Guitar Basics. Good morning, Scott's Guitar Basics in Illinois. Are you near Chicago? Love Chicago, amazing. Thank you for all your content. It helps a lot. Sarah Khalifa, you're very, very welcome, Sarah. Thank you for popping up. Maria, gracias por los... I believe that's probably exercise. Saludos to Costa Rica. Thank you. Hello from England. Currently, I'm here in England right now. I'll be back in California in just a little while. Audio is just fine. Excellent. Thank you, Jared. Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like popping on the old live stream today and seeing how it's going. So I was just mentioning a video that I just cut on consonants and vowels. Good morning from Macon, Georgia. Hello in Georgia. Wade, good to hear from you there. Hey, Jeff. Sounds all right. Adam's apple straining. Am I? I'm probably just a little bit excited. I'm sort of like, yeah, using that voice that I sometimes do, as opposed to just relaxing. I get a bit amped up for these things. I kind of get amped up just even when I'm making the videos, quite frankly, too. 3.5 hours south of Chicago, so that's really close to Indiana. Scott's Guitar Basics. I wonder if you're anywhere near like South Bend. Is South Bend, I thought, was in the north, and so is... the Selmer factory is in that area too, but I'm not exactly sure. Should have mentioned South Africa over here. Jared! Kudos. Hey, good to hear from you. David, hello! Tenor's upper register requires more work than lower, so usually high notes that go at end of long show or career. So do you limit upper range work in practice time to protect that register? Great question. Yes, but probably not for the reason that you've articulated there. When you're practicing your technique, you want to come at it when you're fresh, when you're feeling very energized, and you can apply like all of your energy in a productive way. So you can work towards longer and longer sessions of practicing the upper register or the registration event around the secondo passaggio. But you want to make sure that you're feeling good and energized for those practices. Because the last thing we want to do is embed into our technique fatigued technique. If you get what I'm saying, it's like if you were working on a tennis stroke, like on your forehand, and you did it over and over and over, there's a sweet spot in there where you've warmed up and everything is working well and you're not tired. And so all of that practice is going to be very, very productive. So like in the videos and in my own, like when I'm practicing on my own or when I'm working with a client, the practice of the upper register you know, it depends a lot on the individual and their level of experience and how long they've been working on it. But in general, you want to carefully gauge the amount of time you spend on that practice so that you're practicing it at like the post warm-up but pre I'm getting tired phase. I hope that answers your question. Oh, and good morning to you too, David. I see that. This is awesome. Thanks so much for chiming with the questions. I always love this. I kind of miss this, you know, like I was so busy doing a lot of other projects. I mean, it's all singing related, so it all kind of relates. And I am not going to like totally hose my voice in this thing, which is like very common for me to do. I got so involved in other projects, I just couldn't maintain the weekly live event. But I do so enjoy it. I love seeing all the stuff pop up here. Hey Wade, you are from Little Richardstown. Okay. Oh right, Macon, Georgia. Find singing slow, sustained notes tricky, i.e. staggered breathing. Yeah, cool question, Jackie. Try thinking about a sustained pitch as one that increases in energy over time, as opposed to whatever mental image you have, however you're thinking about those sustained notes now. Try thinking about it as something that's moving forward, or the energy is increasing over time. Too frequently in our singing, we look at held notes, which I don't like that. I don't usually use that phrase. I would usually say sustained pitches. When we're singing sustained pitches, we think about them as this static event, but it's really a continuous thing. It's really going to keep going and going and going, and our energy has to keep increasing over the duration of that pitch. Try that a little bit and see if that has any effect on those sustained pitches. And then maybe pop up the next time we have a live event or in the comments somewhere on the channel. Givens. Serious question. Okay. I'm a bass, baritone. Always makes me smile. I don't know why it is, but there's something about those low voices I find so intriguing. My range goes down to B1, but I have a huge problem with phlegm down there where the C2 and B1 are made. How do you manage phlegm? How do you keep a clear voice? Prevention is really the key here. Staying hydrated would be very, very advantageous. Making sure that you have adequate time to warm up would also be very advantageous too. In extremis, you may consider dietary considerations. In other words, far be it from me to be the one to suggest this, because I do enjoy a variety of different sort of foodstuffs and things like that. But you might want to carefully gauge, like just keep a food diary and take some things out. Obviously, make sure you're getting like your caloric needs from a day-to-day basis, but take some things out. Replace them with something else. And try that for a week and see if it has any impact. Now, that's in addition to the hydration. Make sure you're hydrated. You might also consider some saltwater gargling. That too could have a rather beneficial effect, not the least of which would be just moving the phlegm off the vocal fold. It just depends on sort of the nature of the phlegm that you've got going on. With me, I tend to get dehydrated pretty easily. I tend not to drink quite enough liquid to loosen that phlegm so that it easily gets removed from the vocal folds during vocalizations. So more hydration. Think about maybe a salt water with tepid water, like room temperature water, and then make sure you have adequate time to warm up prior to singing engagements, performances, or recordings. Try that. See if that has an impact. Glad to see you, Jürgen. No questions or requests, just here to wish you all the best. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Dahura. Hello, I'm from Iran. I'm an alto singer. I do my warm-ups with your videos every single day. Thank you for watching. That's wonderful. please make a video for practicing low notes. Absolutely. There are a couple on the channel. I don't do nearly enough of them. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I get caught up. I love the registration event. I love helping vocalists figure out that there's a lot less mystery to singing above the secondo passaggio, to singing high notes, than what is unfortunately, I think, too frequently, it's made out to be this confusing thing. And it doesn't have to be. There's a practice to it. You can work it out. And I often don't get down into the lower ranges nearly as much as I would like to. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I will absolutely do that. Jürgen, please, Jeff, remind me, where were you from? I am now back in Tashkent, my hometown. I grew up in Michigan, in a suburb of Detroit, just outside of Detroit, like literally a mile and a half. You know, like if you are familiar with the Eminem, I think it was Eminem movie 8 Mile. Well, like I was at 9.5 in Ryan, like that's where I grew up. And then, I mean, a lifetime ago, I moved to California. And then from California, I moved to England for a while, moved back to California, and I happen to be in England right now. But yeah, I'm from Michigan originally. Been in California for a long enough time. But yeah. Thanks for your help from Israel. You're very welcome, Jans. Scott's Guitar Basics, thank you for all the YouTube workouts. They are really great. I use the lip trill videos every day for them. Oh my God, brilliant. Wonderful. Lip trill's such a great exercise for that kind of a thing. Sarah. I'm also an alto from France, and I find it difficult to sing high notes, especially without using falsetto. In case you have some advices about it, I wish you a beautiful day. Thank you. Yeah, I will absolutely, I can address it more directly. It does get addressed in the videos very frequently, but I can be a lot more specific in that. You know, alto range vocalists oftentimes get into trouble. You know, altos will often get into trouble in that G sharp above middle C area, and then they'll also get hit again on this B C. And it's just the nature of the alto voice, the way that it all kind of unfolds for you. Your primo passaggio here is not as actually that's like the sort of the middle voice entry point, excuse me, and you get this primo passaggio that happens immediately following it. Then you have your secondo passaggio here. Now that, for many alto range vocalists, that never gets developed, or only in part, or it's very abducted or separated, falsetto sounding, as you said. So working with the alto range vocalist is like lovely. It's super fun. I love the sound as you get into like down here is really truly amazing. And that being said, it can be very, very challenging through here. So let me think about that, and what I can do is do some more videos that, shall we say, really focus specifically on that area of the voice. Great, great question. Thank you for bringing that up. Where was I now? That's... All right, okay, right. The new posture shorts, crossing of the hands to knees while warming up, I did for about 30 minutes yesterday and felt I had some higher notes with ease. So very grateful for that. That's wonderful. That if I didn't mention that in the video, it's meant to get the different halves of your brain talking to one another with just a little bit more, shall we say, vigor. And what can happen here is that, especially when you're singing lyrics, it can help bridge those gaps. Like if you struggle with like the integration of certain consonants into phrases, or as you're saying with range and singing high notes, doing some of those exercises where you're crossing over the body can just get both halves talking, and it's because pitch and rhythm are dealt with in one hemisphere of the brain and language is dealt in the other hemisphere. And of course, to sing music with lyrics, it all has to work together. So some exercises like that can kind of get things warming up in the old noodle, as one might say. Jürgen, thank you so much for mentioning that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Yes. I try to, I've been saying that less in the videos that I make for the channel because I don't want to talk about it all the time, and I want to get into the stuff. I want to get into what we're working on, the things that I think are going to help you as a vocalist. But it's true, those things really do help the channel, and they kind of all work together to make it possible for me to keep on doing this. So yeah, like, subscribe, follow, pass on the good word if you like. Thanks for your tenor YouTube videos, man. You're very welcome, Isaiah. You're very, very welcome. Jürgen, by the way, Jeff, any links for Amazon or eBay with benefits to you this year? Winter holidays are not far away. There are, in fact, affiliate links in the descriptions for just about every video on the channel. So if you're in the United States or the United Kingdom or 3 or 4 different countries, there are links to Amazon in the description. And if, it doesn't it doesn't impact your shopping experience on Amazon or anything like that. But if you use that link, then a portion of what you're purchasing will get sent to the channel. So yeah, those links are there in the descriptions. If you click on them and bookmark them, then you never have to think about it again, and the channel would truly benefit from it. Yeah, thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Isaiah, do you think singing over the break helps you to sing higher? Well, that's the whole point. That's exactly the whole point of learning about the registration event and learning to sing over the secondo passaggio. The secondo passaggio is the break. So that's the whole point. And if you're coming at that from a perspective of one who is belting, well, belting is a self-limiting practice, because to belt in the sort of textbook definition of belting, we are committing to using the chest voice to sing high notes. Well, there's only so fast you're going to get those tissues to vibrate if you are only using the thyroarytenoid muscles, right? Like, it's like driving a manual transmission car. You can certainly get on the motorway in second gear, and you'll probably get to highway speeds, but I'm not sure exactly for how long that's going to last, and I don't know how the car is going to really deal with it. Well, if we don't allow for the elongation of the vocal fold, then we are limiting ourselves to only using the thyroarytenoid musculature, the vocalis muscle, chest voice muscles. Synonymous, those 3 terms. They get used to refer to the same thing. So when we learn to allow for elongation of the vocal folds, then we can have voce piena in testa, the sound of chest voice in head voice, but it unlocks an awful lot more range for us because we've now got an elongated vocal fold, and that elongated or thinned is often how it gets referred to, will allow us to sing those higher notes and eventually make another transition that's above that. So yeah, learning to sing across the secondo passaggio, across the break, helps us to sing high notes. At the very least, it's a different tonal palette for us to use. Any tips for singing songs versus scales? That is Scott's Guitar Basics. I literally just finished shooting today, and I just felt like hopping online for a quick Q&A on a live stream because I just hadn't done one in quite a long time. I literally just finished shooting a video on using consonants and vowels in lines. So that's not going to come out today. There's a video that's going to get released a little bit later on today. But the video that I shot today is going to come out next week. So I hope that you'll check it out and let me know what you think. I think it was, well, I'm very pleased with it. I mean, I wouldn't release it if I weren't pleased with it. It's very open-ended. I was pretty specific. I covered the fr, the FR as a tonal onset, and then I focused really in on the word every, talking about diphthongs, placement of consonants in a vocal line that's both static and moving, and then I also kind of circled back around and dealt with a perfect fifth, a skip in there, and how we place the M from the word from when we've got a skip like that after it. So it's at least getting a start. There is a playlist on the channel that's like called Lyrics and Singing or something like that. And that might be another thing to have a look at. Because that's basically what we're talking about here. When we sing songs, we are having to integrate vowels and consonants, but it could also be different rhythms or different changes when we're not singing a scale pattern. So maybe let me know, like tell me what you're thinking about. Talking from a tenor voice, thank you. You're very welcome, Jackie. Yes, sir, Little Richard, the Allman Brothers, Otis Redding, Allman Brothers. I am your fan, sir. Thank you, Himanshu. Forgive me if I've pronounced that incorrectly, but thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And this is probably going to freak out when I do that. And it did. Any tips for breath support? Lean into your lateral engagement. In other words, the lateral expansion of the rib cage. If you're sticking your stomach out and sucking it back in to breathe, reconsider it. Do a bit of reading. Look at Shirley Emmons' it's a one-page web page on Appoggio breath management. APPOGGIO breath management. Take a look at that. It has been perpetuated for such a long time, this idea of press the stomach out and suck it back in. You are mostly moving viscera around. It is largely not effective to do that. I was taught that for many, many years. When I learned about Appoggio and I began to study it, first in textbooks that I got, it's like there was like a schism in my brain because I would read it over and over again and it just didn't make sense because it talked about how you weren't gonna press out and suck back in. And when I finally started to understand it, and that was largely through the help of Megan Dibble, it changed everything for me. Literally everything. The single most effective change I have made to my technique without question. So question your practice, reevaluate it. Elephant in the room. How proud are you of the little silver rectangle behind you? Yeah, I'm pretty pleased about it. I will be pleased even more so when I get it into a permanent location. But yeah, I'm pleased with it. Like I said in the video, I am an independent instructor. I am independent of, I'm a NATS member, like the National Association of Teachers of Singing. So I'm a member of that. But I don't teach at a university any longer. And when I was an adjunct professor, it was like ages ago, and I didn't even end up teaching any classes because my course didn't get taken. So it's like I'm not associated with organizations that give out, plaques or certificates of achievement or things like that. So it meant a lot to me, and still does. And it, for me, makes me want to do more and better still to continue to earn that achievement, if that makes sense. It's not that it's something that's done, it's something that is ongoing and has to be continually earned, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense anyways. It's like, it is to be a musician. A musician doesn't arrive at a point, it's a constant pursuit. We have to continue to earn the ability to perform. Because if you stop practicing, the skills that you acquire will atrophy, and it won't take very long. And while, like, as the further along you go, of course, it will take that atrophy period will take longer and longer. But at some point, the skills will dissipate. And so we have to keep on earning these things. We have to keep on earning, those registration events and those lines and that apogeo. We have to keep on earning these things. So it just makes me want to do more, basically. But yeah, I'm very pleased. I'm very, very pleased to have it, for sure. I'll tell you one other thing, too, is I'm very pleased to not have to, like, watch my subscriber thing going up and down as I was getting close to it, too, because that was pretty nerve-wracking. Give and take is... Anyways, something weird happened to me a few days back. I shouted a lot, and it ended up completely clearing my lows. I went as low as A1 easy, but lost my higher range at the same time. Well, yeah, you probably kind of that's not going to be great for your voice long term. When you were doing that, you probably just forced the vocal folds to vibrate with such great amplitude that I don't exactly know how that would work, because one would think that they would then get really engorged with blood and that would stiffen them up. But I can understand why you'd lose your upper register from doing that kind of thing, because it would just inflame the tissues and then they wouldn't meet as effectively, and so that would prevent you from getting the adduction necessary to get the high pitches to work. I'm going to take this last question here. I'm sorry, I know I'm not going to get to all your questions today. I just wanted to hop on for a brief little live stream Q&A to say hello and just see how things were going. But there's this question here. Jeff, can you talk about the idea that light is right and strong is wrong? If that's necessarily correct or not, it can be confusing. Thank you. A brilliant question. Thank you. I'm sorry, by the way, I know that lavalier mic is probably picking up all that water drinking. I guess I could have muted my mic for a second there. The first thing to consider is that, like a lot of descriptive vocal teaching, it is all relative. So if you were singing and you and I were going to have a lesson together, and like, who knows, well, whether I was teaching or you were teaching, let's just assume for the sake of argument that you've come in and we're going to have a lesson. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'd like you to sing this scale. Hey, ah. And you came in and said, hey, ah. That's so light that the vocal folds aren't closing, right? So in that case, that's too light. On the other hand, if you came in and you sang, that is going to be probably too heavy for almost every voice. And in that case, we have to think about how you are approaching those pitches and where we think they are in the overall range of your voice, because that also has an impact on what is light and versus what is strong. I've been trying to wean myself off of the term light because it too frequently creates confusion like this. What I have been saying lately is the least viable sound. And what does that mean? Fair question. Least viable. What is a viable sound? By my definition, and yours may include other aspects, it may remove some of these aspects. Depends on what you're trying to do. But for a neutral phonation where you are working on your voice, trying to develop vocal function such that you have use of the entirety of your range, a viable sound is one that is in tune. It has good vowel alignment as you move from vowel to vowel to vowel. and it has good balance between the flow of air and vocal fold adduction or vocal fold closure. The way that we develop it is usually to begin with short vowel syllables, moving towards melismatic phrases, and then ultimately integrating it into your songs. So light, as an expression of least viable sound, that to me is a light sound, the least viable sound that I can create there. Now I could maybe move a bit more airflow over my vocal folds, and I could have a little bit more crescendo. But I am still balanced in terms of vocal fold engagement or muscle action at the larynx and the flow of air. This equation of airflow and vocal fold engagement changes as we move throughout our ranges. The thing is it doesn't change quite as dramatically as generally we think. So as we descend, yes, there is a higher priority on vocal fold engagement and a little bit less on the airflow. But it's not that dramatic. Equally, as we ascend, the flow of air does increase, but not really that much. What really increases quite a lot is the subglottic air pressure, the engagement here to compress the air column below the vocal fold. That increases quite significantly. That is so that the vocal folds don't have to get really tense and adduct really hard to try to create those pitches. When we look for the least viable sound, what we're really doing is we are creating the opportunity for us as vocalists to be flexible and move throughout our various ranges. The more flexible we are, the more ease we have going back and forth across the seconda passaggio. We can go down, we can go up. That then translates into greater flexibility in the songs that we're singing. So I think about it as a least viable sound. It is often described of as light. The usage of the word light or heavy, however, I think is more subjective, and it really does make a huge difference where the vocalist that you are working with or talking to is coming from. If they're way abducted or separated in the vocal fold, then getting lighter isn't really going to help them. If they're super pressy and hard with their voices, they're trying to be strong, they're doing it from a muscular standpoint, that's going to inhibit their overall function. And so if they want to have access to their complete range, it has to get balanced out. One last word about this. Strong isn't really wrong in my opinion. It's about how we approach it. If we try to approach strong from a muscle standpoint here at the larynx, then we're going to inhibit vocal function. We're not going to get the most out of our voice, and at the least of which we'll have intonation issues, probably vocal fatigue issues too. But if we approach strength, the idea of a strong voice from balance, from engagement, from a balance between vocal fold engagement and subglottic air pressure, and proper registration events, and an awareness of where we are in our registers, then we can very much have that big, massive, lush, strong sound. I would in fact make the argument that working from a point of balance is in fact the most direct way to make a strong, full sound. Yeah. Anyways, like I said, I just wanted to jump on for a short little quick Q&A. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I know that I'm not going to get to all of your questions today, but thank you for joining me. I do hope this helps. I plan on doing this more frequently, so catch me again sometime in the future, and I will do, again, today was a bit of an experiment, just to, it was really more just to have some fun and answer some questions. But next time I'll post the kind of Q&A when it's going to happen, and you can join me then. But don't rule out the fact that I could just jump on sometimes too. The way to know about that, of course, is to subscribe and turn on the bell so you get notified when I do something like this. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your questions. Thanks for everything. I really do appreciate it. Have a lovely, lovely day. And hopefully I'll see you in the comments on the videos, or maybe I'll catch you at a future live event. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing. We'll see you again. Bye.